Doesn't this feel like an old friend?
It does.
We've driven generations of the Miata,
We have.
but here we are back in the NB. This is a year 2000.
Yep.
I'm reminded about so many things that I like and dislike about Miatas.
Well, the minute that you say cheap sports car, you have to go talk Miata.
Yes.
So here we are. You've heard the acronym, of course. Miata is always the answer. Spells Miata. Here we have one, second-gen Miata. This one was bought for the kind of money we're talking about last year.
You're watching Everyday Driver. We make a TV show, podcast,
and YouTube channels helping you find a car you'll love.
This is our second cheap car challenge, and with the help of Auto Tempest, we're doing a year of adventures in $7,500 sports cars.
Subscribe so you don't miss a thing.
The owner actually likes to autocross this, so he's put on some sticky tires, he's put on some different sway bars, very standard things that
There's a
happen
bit
to
of
this car.
sandbagging going on here.
Yes, this dives for corners.
It's almost not set up for this road.
It's searching for a cone like 50 feet off the nose.
It really is.
Yeah.
Is two-handly a thing? Is it
very sharp.
too sharp a thing?
It's really sharp. He autocrosses, that's why he uses it.
Yeah.
This one looks great. I can't believe, with the exception of the rips in the seats, this car looks perfect.
It is. It is
and
perfect.
It was bought for less than $8,000 last year.
We always joke that the Miata is always going to be the fastest car on track. The owner will probably have modded it, much like this one is. And it's not the straightaways. That's the part I dislike. No. There's no power.
Yeah.
This is 140 horsepower, 119 pound-feet of torque out of a 1.8 liter from the year 2000.
All of the smallest numbers of this day. Yeah.
None out of the hole. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like it, because I love power. But what I do love is that by the time the car gets around the track, it's not only caught up to the fast cars, it's now chewing on the back of them.
You're right.
And then the fast cars just leave them on the straightaway. Yep. But what if this car is like a Kardashian, and you don't want it just based on principle alone, because everybody has Miatas and everybody chooses Miatas.
I wasn't sure how you were going to land that.
What if you want something else just to try it?
Just to be different. I mean, that was this was our discussion when we first were shopping for these cars.
Look at that.
You were looking at Boxsters and I was looking at Miatas,
right.
And then we said, let's not go with the obvious. But there is that discussion of, if everybody's going to get a cheap Miata, should you get something else? Wow, this is good.
This is so good.
The struggle for me remains sheer space.
See, I never have looked at Miatas as your only car. This is the spacious car.
True.
People do.
Yeah,
people
for sure.
have these as their only car, and they say it's just fine. They've taken road trips. They've done everything with it.
Yep.
I've always looked at this as a second or third option.
Sure.
Just by the nature of the car. So you're just freed up from all the other requirements that you want out of a car. Doesn't need to tow anything, doesn't need to haul anything. You're out here doing this. And it is spectacular. We both mostly fit.
Yes.
It's small. This is the late NB generation. It is the special edition. You can see from that metallic burgundy wine-colored paint.
Yeah.
And then it's got the tan interior, so it looks good.
The two of us in this car together is quite a comedy routine.
It's a fat man in a little coat kind of
look. It really
look.
is.
Yeah, everything here. The gear shifts, the interaction. Except for me, I think my leg is longer a little bit from my knee to my ankle, and so I can't heel and toe, because I can't get my knee.
You're having leg problems
wheel.
And I'm having head problems because of the scale of this car. I mean, this was one of the reasons I didn't pick the NB when we did.
Go.
Well, we're also at almost 8,000 feet.
We are.
So any of these naturally aspirated cars, and pretty much all of them are, they're going to struggle because this is high altitude, and they're not that powerful to begin with.
They're not.
But you don't buy these for power. I mean, 0 to 60 at sea level in this car is about 7.5 seconds. This is not a fast car by any kind of number metric, but that's not the point. The point is hanging on to speed, which we're doing like crazy.
It is the momentum car, and here we are doing the momentum thing, but I'm on a slight incline at elevation. I have to downshift.
Not where it shines.
Come on,
and you're still not going to get much more. I mean, that was like a fraction more.
Hey, we got up to the camper.
Yep.
I'm proud of that. What I love about the Miata is that it has taught generations of enthusiasts how to not rely on power.
That's true.
How to rely on your momentum and learn the corners and take the better line through the corner, because the car can do it.
Yeah.
It's set up to do it from the very beginning. And that begs the question about putting your money into these cheap cars and keeping them going. It doesn't matter what year the car was built.
Yeah.
Good driving dynamics are good, and they're just spectacular. I'm reminded. But I want that power. I want more out of it. And then that leads me to mods and mods and more mods, and there's got to be a Miata acronym in there for just more mods.
I haven't done that one yet. Oh, look, a new mod. Yeah.
We'll let him go ahead. So you have the pleasure of catching the...
I get to catch the camper. This is early 2000s tech. We still have a tape deck and a CD player in here because, of course, all of these cars,
cool.
They're all less than 25 years old, but that doesn't mean they aren't still quite old. So you're not going to be Bluetoothing anything unless you aftermarket this guy. The interior is the exterior, is the whole premise of the car, and it is so simple. It's just what you need, and it's done so well.
I look at Mazda as the originators, in a way, of making the 1.0. Here's the car that everybody can do whatever they want.
Sure.
It's the base platform. I don't think Mazda knew that all these mods would become so prevalent and you can keep these cars running.
True.
That alone makes this worth the investment over, I think, the other cars, just the community.
What you're talking about is what Mazda did to make the Miata in the first place. They looked at all of the classic British roadsters and Italian roadsters and said, we're going to do that and make it reliable and make it ubiquitous. And they succeeded even beyond their own expectations to the point that they became the new benchmark that, to your point, everyone else is looking at.
Yes.
That's amazing.
It's awesome.
This is such a watershed car to the point it's its own acronym.
Quick look at the styling. Look around this car, especially in this color. Does it not look great? Does it not? But we've moved on from the old pop-up headlights era. That was old news. And so here they are. I think the styling has aged wonderfully. Smooth, clean surfaces wear a color better and they wear their age better. Look around this car. It's all about surface. That's what's so wonderful. And the simplicity of the interior, we're joking about how cute these little eyeball vents are. They're just so cute.
They're gorgeous. Everything in here. Yeah, it's like,
oh,
look,
it.
it's wee.
It's just so simple and straightforward. And I love that the owner has left the CD player and the tape deck.
Yep.
It feels vintage in just an enthusiast, this is how cars should be
Just a
kind
welcoming
of
way. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I hope your cap is on tight.
It's going to need to be because it's up above the A-pillar. Allow me to demonstrate the scope of the problem.
I'm sitting upright in the seat, by the way.
The seat is all the way back.
Todd has an extra
If
vertebrae.
I sit all the way up, my eyes are looking directly at the A-pillar. If I drop the sun visor, I literally cannot see anything. Because if I want to drive, I have to drive kind of like this. And that's just not, I want to be more comfortable
Sure,
in that.
but can you separate yourself from that enough to love the car, to acknowledge how great it is?
Well, that's the thing.
I'm not that much better, but I have that one less vertebrae, so I'm actually okay. I'm looking through the tinted part of the windshield.
There you go, yes. It's not a slight. It's not a, well, that car gets to be thrown out for it. Now, when we did our Miata generations, this car lost for that reason because there were others where I fit better. So yeah, I have to hunker.
This car is light!
But it's light, 2,400 pounds. I mean, just
so
under
light.
2,400 pounds. Mazda did this so right. They did it right in the first gen, but every generation of the Miata has just been, if you need sports car, allow us to show you what that means.
Yeah.
There's nothing superfluous here. It's just, this is everything you need, and it's dialed in right, and it's so easy. There is nothing about this that has the least bit difficult to drive or understand or get used to. And if you're a person that's never enjoyed cars, I'm not sure why you're watching this video, but besides that,
first of all,
the Miata is the thing that can teach you a love of cars. That's what I find so fascinating because it is so accessible. There's nothing frightening about this, and there's also nothing precious about it.
Well, I have to acknowledge that I so respect Miatas. I so love what they do. And you are having 82% more fun than just about everything and anything with power.
Not 83, 82% more fun.
It's bang on 82%.
It's right at 82%.
See, I've measured this.
Yeah,
this is
it's good for
empirical
you.
data
Well
that I've
done,
collected. And so I love these Miatas, but I still can't bring myself to wanting one. And I think with this series, my headspace is really discovering about myself what is the tipping point between acknowledging how good a car is and how great things you can do with it against my love and wanting a car. What pushes me in one direction or the other? And I will admit to you, as much fun as we are having, as good as this car is on this road, I don't know if I want one.
You can't look at this car and be like, yeah, but the Miata doesn't do blank when it comes to driving. It does everything you need. It does it so well, and it's dialed in so perfectly. There is that X factor, though, that I wonder about with this car. That thing where you're just like, it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't do that great, but I want it anyway.
Why do we choose those cars? Why do people buy those cars? They just want it, and that's what I'm looking for in me.
I could have bought one of these for our cheap car challenge,
You could
and
have.
I would have
You would have been
thoroughly
thrilled.
enjoyed it every single time I drove it. though I would have also complained every time I drove it that I didn't fit. I mean, the truth is I probably wouldn't have been able to buy an NB. I probably would have had to buy an NC, which I still touch the roof of, but at least I don't have to do this.
You can have surgery to remove the extra vertebrae.
Yes, I'm going to have vertebrae removal surgery. That's bound to go well.
You could have.
That's bound to end up positively.
Choice.
Yes, I could. Such a great little car, and just a tiny little car. There is an overwhelming sense of smallness here. That's not necessarily a strike, but you can't get past this and ever think like, oh, this car's normal. No, it's tiny.
They're all small. We're dicing
tiny.
it pretty thinly.
Yes.
Do your own $7,500 or less search. Click the Auto Tempest link in the video description and tell us in the comments what you've come up with.